Right, good morning. We are live. We are live. Okay. Where am I at here? I'm doing a few last minute situation things here. Making sure I've got my image that I'm working off of nearby and visible, and that I can see what's happening. Chat, keep track of everything going good. Levels okay? Yeah, it looks like we're good. All right. Excellent. Good morning, everybody. I am Lynell Ingram. This is my channel, Paint Fumes, and twice a week I live stream here, working on art in random ways, shapes, and forms. I'd been doing a stretch of what I called sketchbook sessions, and I'm kind of getting back into doing some more like actual art projects that I'm working on and finishing, and can work on live stream and can hang out and chat and watch me do my thing. And let's see, let me make sure that I don't get in front of my camera. It's a little bit of a chaotic setup right now because I have the main camera right over my shoulder to see the painting, so try not to get in the way of it too much. And I've got my little webcam perched on the top of my art. Good morning, Aerosat. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, this is a piece that I'd started this summer. This and one other painting that, I don't know, we'll see how today goes. Maybe I'll pull that out too. I did them in 4-hour chunks, painting live, or maybe 3.5 hours, at a fair, an art fair outside, which was really fun. I just had the canvases with a sketch ready to go and an underpainting, and I just was outside in the sun painting, and I got pretty far with them. As you can see, I haven't touched this one since then, but 'tis time to kind of pull it together, last bits of details and things, and it's kind of an interesting difference of looking at these, because when I was working on this, it was with bright sun, natural light everywhere, and then to bring it into the studio and you kind of see things a little bit differently. It is an interesting thing how much lighting can change. So that's why lighting is so important. So yes, anyway, I keep saying so. It is so kind of a day, apparently. It kind of is. Dreary outside a little bit. It's been raining for like the last 2 days. But yeah, I got kind of set up to film this direction, and it didn't occur to me till I was about to get started that I have a little black corner underneath my camera where there is nothing. And I'm like, I don't have the time to put something else there. If I had a third camera, I would maybe put it over my palette, but right now my palette is just on my lap because I have sort of a weird kind of temporary setup going here. And you got like the worst view of my studio, the worst possible ugly view of the studio from here, so I apologize for that. But yeah, how's everybody's mornings? What's going on in the world? Anything fun and exciting or creative? I didn't notice the black space till you pointed it out. You are welcome. Let me share my incompetence. It's right. I mean, I could have just put like a little photo. Oh, you know what I could do? Nah. Yeah. I can put the, what do you call it? the picture, the actual picture there. Let me see if I can, I don't know. It's probably best if I don't screw with it while I'm already live, because I'll just end up accidentally breaking everything. Yeah. Black spaces and all, we're just going today. Chugging along there, that's good. Chugging along is sometimes what we do, right? I'm working on the drawing stuff, I imagine still. I have it set up a little bit. Another part of my kind of weird setup today is that I have my garbage can. I can't even reach it from here. I don't have my iPad right in front of me like I usually do when I sit here and stream when I'm working flat. I have my computer screen to the right of me, so that's where I have to keep looking for a chat. I do have my iPad over there, so I can keep an eye on how the stream's doing, so I can see if there's a comment over there, but I can't read it. Just trying to keep my eye on things and make sure nothing's, you know, blowing up or breaking, or that I'm hopefully not, like, hitting the mute button on the microphone on accident again. So I am right now just putting some paints on my palette, which is on my lap, so kind of hard to see. I can kind of lift it up like this, maybe see it a little bit. I am remembering what I used for my palette when I did this part. I'm fairly certain I know which paints I used, even though we're talking about 2 months ago now. Was it 2 months ago? Maybe, gosh, maybe just a month? I don't know. Feels like forever. Trying to remember what I'd used, which I kind of have some standard things that I do in palettes, but I do mix it up every now and again, and that's always going to be a point of confusion. Once I'm out of burnout, I'll be back to art, counting down to Inktober, so I might cruise till then. I love the bright contrast of her versus the dark background. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, burnout is really tough. And, like, if you're feeling it, definitely give yourself some deliberate time to, like, recharge. Get inspired by something, or just fill your cups, as they say. But yeah, I've been somebody who has tried to push through burnout before, and guess where that gets you? More burnt out. So, these damn tubes. Not particularly helpful. These paint tubes, I can't tell you enough how much I hate these caps. They just break. They don't... come on, why? Maybe it's because I'm messy with my paint, but it should function. It should work like it's supposed to work. Anyway. Nothing like some paint tubes misbehaving to make me look cranky in the morning. It's okay. I have coffee. That's all we need. Break those caps a lot. That's why I hate them so much. I really try. I tend to buy a lot of, like, the Liquitex brand paints because they have caps like this that won't break like that. But the Utrecht paints, this is the Utrecht one, but also Golden. The Golden brand of paints have that. Winsor & Newton kind of has that, but it's like a much beefier lid. So I'm going to trust that this one isn't going to do that to me. But... And, like, I don't have, like, a brand of paint that I am beholden to. I kind of just... I know that there's quite a few that are pretty good. I know there are some that are excellent. I know there are some that I'd rather avoid. And then within that range, I also look for what is a good price, or if there's a deal going on, because, you know, everything's expensive. All right, I'm gonna start ideally doing, like, a little bit of work on her face. I think what's really bothers me the most versus my original picture is kind of the nose right here. Like, this part is actually okay. It got a little dark. It should be a little bit more luminous. But also here, it just, like, becomes this flat thing, and I don't like that. That's the main thing that bothers me about where this painting is for her face and everything else. Everything else would just be, like, minor tweaks or whatever. But okay, let me see if I can kind of... I might have had some orange paint on my palette when I was working on this. I truly don't remember for certain, but we're gonna just... And I worked with a teal underpainting, so, like, the color that's here, this was actually the underpainting on the canvas. Jim, good morning! Good morning, good morning! Happy Thursday! I am gonna see how close I can get to sort of matching this color. I'm trying to hold my palette up a little bit where you guys can see it's, like, a little awkwardly high there, but... Yeah, it's something to go back to something you haven't worked on in this much time and be like, okay, what were the colors I've used? This with a little bit more warmth might get me where I want. We're on the nose, so it's not just so... Oh, I just stuck my brush in the black paint, no big deal. Can you buy spatial awareness at the store? Because I really could use some. Okay, just change to the computer. All right. I am going to, yeah, definitely. Especially when I'm kind of like focusing on something or more than one thing. So that feeds into big time when I'm working on, when I'm doing work when I'm streaming. I really lose my spatial awareness, as you guys know. Dropping things, smacking the microphone with things, turning it off sometimes. This button for turning it off is right on top of it. It's right on top of it. Which is, for me, not the best design. Yeah. If somebody comes up with a way to like purchase spatial awareness, that would be great. That's a little better already. It's half why I enjoy your streams, because I relate so much with the clumsiness. Yeah, it's, I'm definitely not putting on any airs about anything. I just am who I am, and sometimes I'm a bit of a mess. And when I say sometimes, it's probably more than sometimes. But, yeah, I couldn't be... Like, I couldn't pretend to be more put together than I am. It just wouldn't even be possible. I am a wee bit of a mess, but it's as real as it gets for me. I'm kind of just using a filber brush right now. Maybe a little darker. And it was one that actually had been kind of splayed a bit from use and misuse and abuse. And I reformed it a bit. After washing it, I kind of used the... I have some of that Masters soap. And I used that soap to sort of reform it into the shape. Like I didn't wash the soap out I washed the brush completely. But once I'd done that, I kind of let the soap stay. I kind of saturated it with soap again without rinsing it, and then reformed the brush. So that's kind of a trick that I've learned over years to sort of try to get your brushes back into shape if you've got some things not cooperating so well in terms of how they're shaping up. So yeah, it was very like splayed and floofy. And now I can get a nice sharp edge with it again. So I don't know if that made sense. I hope that explanation made sense. I could like probably give a better rundown of it. But it's really just like it's almost like using the soap as like your hair gel and then just letting your brush dry that way and be that way for a while. Like this has probably been a week since I did that with this brush, and it's really gotten a much better shape back to it. And now it's just a matter of let's actually, you know, take good care of our things. But usually when that's the case for my brushes, they're brushes that I've had for a long time, and I will be the first to admit that I went through long periods of being a very, very, very bad brush caretaker. So I definitely try to be better. There was one occasion not all that long ago where I did the thing where it's like I finished painting and I got caught up in something else I was cleaning up or whatever, and I left my brushes sitting like in the water cup for a day, and I didn't even, like, it totally just, my brain just blacked out on it altogether. I was so mad at myself. But those things happen. They do happen. We do our best. Just gotta do our best. That's all we can do. So I got my water on one side, my brushes and paints on the other side. Because this is usually where I stream when I'm working flat, and I just put a tabletop easel here. It's like a plein air kit that you can expand and carry with you. Because trying to paint at my easel with where my computer is situated right now is a little crazy, because then there's just all these wires for the microphone and cameras like going right across the room. So I need to figure out being able to work with larger paintings better on stream. I need to figure that out a little bit. But I just, you keep trying things and see what works all right and go from there. Just come in and add a little bit of really intense highlight in a few spots where it makes sense from the photo that I'm looking at. And then once I've done this, then I'll probably work a little bit more on sort of the background. And I don't have the background as it's painted out is actually, I'm pretty much okay with that. It's that my intention is to add some text on here, and I've kind of written it in a white pencil very lightly. It's a quote from Marilyn Monroe that I really love. And I'm going to add that in. And it says, imperfection is beauty, madness is genius, and it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring. And I just love that. Oh, that's wrong. That was wrong. All right. Painting this and the other one that I did on the same day was really great exercise for me in working loosely, especially for working much larger than I sometimes do. I mean, occasionally work large, but yeah, I was using a lot of just like very broad brush strokes and things to get my shapes and places in there. So that was a good opportunity to mess around a little bit. The shadow you just added on the nose really refines her whole face. It really was the nose that was throwing me off once I got it home. It became far too flat. So it's not what I would say perfect yet, but I'm getting to the point where I'm pretty happy with it. Just a few little suggestions of shape here and there, maybe. And I kind of found myself fascinated by Marilyn Monroe because she was such an icon of beauty, right? And yet she was she was such a tragic person. She had mental health struggles, and which led to addiction and other issues that ultimately became her undoing, but she was much more of a real person than you often see from, or would be normally presented. And just her quote that I just read that I'm going to put on here, I think is like, suggests so much of that. And the fact that she struggled so much with like body image, even. While I was painting this, man came up to chat with me, and he was saying how that something about that she was too big of a girl for somebody like him, and I just like looked at him. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why are you coming over to tell me this? Like, go away. Thank you, man, for your opinion. Move along. Okay. It's interesting working with very old photos also for reference, because the quality of the photos is something you're kind of working against. Like, it was kind of hard to find a photo that I liked of Frida Kahlo to paint of her, There's a lot of photos. Not many of them are in, not a whole lot of them are in color, and the ones that are in color seem to be colored in post. It's so tragic. So many talented people die so early, either by accident or intentionally. It's like the price they have to pay. Yeah, it's very, very sad. Let me get a smaller brush for a second. Not smell nothing. And all I'm thinking about here now is to maybe... Let me see if I can warm up the red on her lips just a little bit. There, I think I like that. It must be a warm day in the studio because my paints are drying fast on my paper, on my palette. Okay. Just a little bit more adjustment on the highlight. Almost there. Okay. I think that takes care of the things that were sort of sticking out to me the most for her portrait. I actually, on my other painting, the Frida Kahlo one that I did, I kind of already went in and did this sort of correction. So in that one, I am mostly, for anything else I'm doing, it's the background refining. I think you've nailed it. Looks just like her. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. So now on to the difficult part. Question is, what brush do I want to use? I do have a liner that I bought. This is for like doing fine detail. So it's got a little bit longer. Like I have a thin brush for my acrylics that's almost as thin, but not nearly as, like the bristles aren't nearly as long, and that's what makes this one a liner. But I don't know that I want to start screwing around with that in the acrylic paint and going back and forth necessarily. So I think we'll just make do. Working with just this brush. Or one that's a little thinner. I think the trick is going to be to just get my paint in the right consistency. It's got to be able to flow a little bit. So right now the paint's very thick right out of the tube. So we'll need to maybe add some. Do I have any fluid medium right now? I think I do have some. We could try some of that. See how well that works and not spill coffee on myself, maybe. That would be ideal. I have this like resale store rug for under me when I'm painting and such in my studio. So it's not an expensive rug. If it gets wrecked by anything I do in here, I don't have to feel bad about it. And the ironic thing is that far more than paint, I have spilled coffee on it. All right, let me think. What do I want to use here? So if I want it to be more fluid, the paper palette that I'm holding on my lap may not be the best solution. I do have this little ceramic cup that I can use, maybe. So maybe I'll scoop up some paint from my palette. It's cheapo palette knife. We're just gonna scoop that up and throw it in my little cup. Probably need more than this, I'm sure. And I don't know that, I think I don't want it to be pure white. Because even on her, there's nothing that's just pure white. I don't want the text to stand out necessarily more than her. So I'm going to add, I think, a little yellow oxide in there. Yellow, yeah. Yeah. Yellow oxide. That's what we're working with. All right. So that gives it just a little bit of just very faint yellow color here. And rather than have it be fully tiniest little bit of, I might add some more, I'm gonna need to add some more white in there anyway. Tiniest little bit of Payne's Gray. Very, very tiny little bit. So I'm getting sort of this like neutral grayed out light color. I'm going to add a little bit more white in here, and then we'll add my fluid medium, and it should be good to go. I'm a little nervous about it, but sure it'll go really well. Faith. All right, touch more white. Between this and the fluid medium, this should give me, hopefully enough to get that done, but we'll see. So I have Vallejo matte fluid medium. Just this container. I think I found it on the clearance section of the art supply store. Close. There we go. All right, let's see once we get this all mixed up. So far it looks kind of gross. Come on. Yeah, this little dish isn't the best for mixing. I'll go ahead and admit to that. At least not with a palette knife. I just don't want to get any of my brushes all gummed up at the moment if I don't have to. Still seems a little thick, but then you always have to weigh the medium to pigment to. We'll give this a try. Like the more medium I add, the less pigment there will be, and so the less opaque the paint will go on. So we set this to the side, where hopefully it will be relatively safe, and then start putting some of the paint down on the canvas here. We'll start adding some. Hold on, I have a matte rag here somewhere. One thing that I have learned and can recommend is it's always good wherever you have your painting space to have things like your rags in very easy grabbing distance from you all the time. Like just keep them somewhere where when you don't think you're going to need one, you could always just grab it really quick. Lessons learned the hard way. All right, so load up my brush a bit here, and yeah, and water. Absolutely. Absolutely. All the things to take care of the messes that sneak up on us when we don't expect it to. Okay. Here goes nothing. The advantage to like having your paint a little bit more fluid when you do this is you don't get it gunked up. You want to be able to like have a nice fluid motion with your brush where it goes. It moves with the brush a bit. Yeah. Don't you be moving on me. It doesn't help if you're like me and you don't have the steadiest of hands. You can use a, oh, what do you call it? It's like the stick thing you can put against your palette, or your can that you can set against something and then you can lean your arm against it. Something like that can certainly be helpful in those instances. I always forget what that's called. I just like, it came to me the other day and I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. But no, now it's gone again. What do you call that damn thing? Maul stick, yeah. Thank you, Jim. That's it. Yeah, use an old tea towel with your brushes. Absolutely. I have old hand towels, old washcloths, and old pillowcases that were like no longer nice enough to be used, whether holes or just grungy over many years. And then I just cut them up into pieces, and I have a stack of them nearby. And I actually have some kitchen towels that are getting really close to needing to be added to my rag pile. And then I'm not using so many paper towels, and it's like much greener, and I think they work a little better. There certainly are still instances where a paper towel can be the best solution depending on what kind of mess you're dealing with, but normally I just rarely reach for them anymore. I've never been good at straight lines, that's for sure. Am I just going right off the board here? Let me adjust this camera a little bit since I'm working on this side. A little better, maybe. Okay. Yeah, sure. And like I said, I've written in very roughly. You can see it a little bit on the camera how my text is going to just flow across. It's all going to fit in here. And I just use like a white pastel pencil to do that. So then if I don't follow it exactly and you can still see the marks of it after I'm done painting, when everything's dried, I can just go in there with like a slightly damp rag and wipe it away. And I'll have to decide after I do this if I want to add a second layer onto the lettering or not. Like, it's going on fairly opaque, but yeah, it's just going to be like a decision to be made at some point. And that decision, I think in the case of this piece, which is a 24 by 24 canvas. I had to think for a second. It's going to be more about like stepping back a couple of feet and looking at it rather than like looking at it from where I am right now and seeing how close I am now and how I feel about it. Like if you step back and look at it, am I bothered by being able to see some little bits of the dark background shining through the letters? And honestly, even if they were too bright at that point, I could go back and add a glaze over them if I decide I don't like how bright they are. Oh, there's a hair in my brush. Unacceptable. I got it. Got it. Thought about adding serifs to the lettering. And maybe I'll just do it a little randomly. I don't know. It's something that I could do. Okay, I can see that like how I'm painting, my hand is directly in front of the camera. So you're not really seeing exactly what I'm putting down. Let me see if I can turn this a little bit more of an angle. And maybe that will be Better. Let's give that a try. See, I need to look at my live bit, because what you guys are seeing is like, of course, if I have the I have it set to be as short of a, what do you call it, where like the gap between when it happens and when you see it, I try to keep that as short as I possibly can, but you can't ever get rid of it completely, so sometimes I gotta look at my streaming software to see what actually is happening. That seems to be a little better, maybe. Helps a little bit to not actually hold on to my little palette cup too. That gives me a little more stability. Just let that sit down for a bit. Oh, Jim, have you done your any of the printmaking stuff yet? I'm curious to hear about that. I've been trying to look for studios where that are near me, where I could take life drawing classes, just because it's been so long since I've done that, and I'd really like to, like, you know, continue to work on those skills. I haven't done an actual life drawing class with a model since I was in college. And it turns out that there's a place, like, blocks away from me. It's kind of, like, down low sort of a thing. They're not particularly advertised, and their website even gives very little information. They're very much like, call us. Which, as a, you know, neurodivergent mess of a person, calling people, oh, I have to do that? Really? This day and age? How about send a fax? Why would you send a fax? But I will have to look into that. It would be great to get back to doing that sort of thing on a regular basis, and just, you know, doing work outside of my studio maybe once in a while. Working on some skills. I know there's a lot of places, if I get into the city, there's a lot more options for all of these things. But it is a thing to get into the city some days. There's a lot of construction right now to get into Chicago from where I am. And that can be really brutal. I'm definitely leaning towards going back in and adding some serifs. Let me get a couple more lines done first of text, and then I'll look at it again. The only downside to not having an actual liner brush or not fluid enough paint is that you're going to be constantly reloading your brush. Which is not the worst thing in the world, it's just a thing. I enjoyed this quote immensely. I really like it. Imperfection is beauty, madness is genius, and it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring. As somebody who is like so far from perfection and just kind of likes to embrace the things that are unique and weird about people, I just find so much truth in that. Nurture the weird. Because the weird is what makes us us. It's what makes us stand out and be different, and maybe instead of the black sheep, we're like the rainbow colored sheep. Or polka dot. Plaid, I don't know, whatever. And especially writing the word imperfect in an exceptionally imperfect way. Bringing it home right there. Gotta try and make a living being weird. Argyle sheep, I love it. I like that a lot. Yeah, making a living being weird is the trick. Like figuring out how to do that. Because sometimes the world isn't ready for all the weird. But what a better place. What a better place the world is when we can all just like really nurture who we are and not try to fit into anything else. Just be us. I mean, as long as it is hurting nobody, right? Oop, let's just be us. Get weird, do no harm. I have the Happy Mutants Handbook. It describes 3 kinds of people: norms, unhappy mutants, and happy mutants. Okay, first of all, I love that, and I need to find out about this book. And happy mutants, that just sounds like the way to go. Who would not want to be a happy mutant? Why would you want to be anything else if you had the option? Just madness. I bought a book by Seth Godin. I think I have it around here somewhere. Something about We Are All Weird. And I was excited to read it. And then all it was like talking about niching down in marketing. It's like, all right. Color me a wee bit disappointed. I often kind of half joke about how it's like my goal to be the, the crazy cat lady with the crazy colored hair as I get older. And it's definitely a half joke because I totally want to be, like, the older I get, I want to be even more comfortable in my own skin. I want to just keep embracing that kind of confidence and joy and fun and artistic weirdness. I did the Seth Godin train a long time ago. Dude smart, but yeah, all marketing. Yeah, I think that's the only book of his that I've owned or read. And it's like, it's a book about weirdness, and it's so dry. I feel like something's missing there. It sort of reminds me of being in a bookstore not very long ago, just this summer. I love going into independent bookstores and like just checking out what's around. And there was a book about for ADHD, like, oh, tips on living with ADHD, or it wasn't tips. It was like a little bit more psychological stuff, and I just grabbed the book and I flipped through it, and it was this tome. It was a very thick book with relatively small print and just dense amounts of text. I'm like, tell me that you're writing a book for ADHD people when you don't actually understand ADHD people. Yeah. That was a nice effort. Nice effort. I'm sure that sold great. Not that ADHD people are incapable of reading things like that. It just isn't, it isn't friendly for us. Like, you would have to be in a hyper-fixated state on that topic to be fine, to really be able to just get through that book like that. Or any book like that you read because you enjoy it. I'm gonna do this word a little differently. I read Free Prize Inside. I found many interesting ideas. What was the free prize? Seth Godin is good, but Simone or Simon Sinek is excellent. Start with Why is on my reading stack. Why? Yeah. And I assume that that's also about marketing. The why is like the biggest thing to figure out, and that's something that when I'm lost in what I'm doing, it's because I've gotten mugged up in the details and I lose the big picture of why and what the point is. And I'm just going through, I'm trying to do the right things and going through the motions in the right ways, and that's where everything can kind of fall apart for me. I have so many books right now. I keep buying books and starting books and then not finishing them. This is my curse. But I just started reading. Do I have it in here? Or is it? It might be up in the living room. I don't even know what fell. I'll investigate that later. Anyway. Yeah, it's a book called Badass Habits. Author is Jen something, but I don't have it in front of my face, so I can't remember. And I'm just on like the second chapter of it. But I've started so many books and I'm like, I really want to finish them all. But then, you know, the shiny thing gets your attention and then you forget they exist. I did start with Why, also amazing for business. Okay, these are good recommendations, guys. Of the books that I've bought and read, there's a handful that I have managed to finish. Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert started to lose me in spots, but in the end it kind of pulled it together and I liked it. Steal Like an Artist. That's not so much about specifically business. I guess both of those are just about creative living and creating, I guess, more so than business. What books? I mean, I have all my books like right below me here. I did read The Complete Smartist's Guide. I did read that one. Man, there's so many books that I've not finished, and I just dropped some on the floor right now. Staying there. I tend to do, I watch a lot of video. I go through periods where I'm watching a lot of videos on it also. Yeah, you got a list of business books I read on Goodreads. If you're interested, read them back when I studied business. Yeah, absolutely. If you've got good recommendations. I can definitely tell you that since the time that I went to art school, the little that we learned about business then, like everything's different now. It's never really translated very well. And when I graduated, it was like in the midst of a lot of things changing in terms of the internet and things happening there. It just, like, what were we taught? I was in an illustration major. And we were taught that you had to have a paper portfolio. You needed to print postcards and mail them to art directors and try to get appointments to go in to show your paper portfolio. We did not learn about websites. And we didn't learn about marketing in any other way besides just that. Like, woefully unprepared out of art school, and I don't think that my experience was singular. I hear that kind of complaint or observation from a lot of people. that found that it was just a very frustrating experience getting out of school, not knowing exactly like, what the heck, what do you do now? I know my parents were, going into art school. They're like, okay, but we want to make sure you're able to get a job after this. And they asked the school people when you're on your tour, do you have placement services after kids graduate? And they're like, oh yeah. Well, there were no jobs, like full-time jobs in the majors that we had. I think that probably that worked if you had just majored straight in design, like graphic design. Back then they call it communications design or industrial design, things like that. So it's interesting to look back, and I wonder how much has changed, or if any art schools have gotten particularly better at that. Gooden's book, Free Prize Inside, is about making something remarkable, about a business or product. The concept is people don't buy cereal for the food, but for the prize inside. Yeah, and it's the feelings that we get from things. That's why you see brands leaning into like nostalgia or family values or fun or whatever it is that they're trying to really kind of emphasize. All right, that brush is getting time to clean that brush. Painting and holding coffee at the same time, potentially dangerous. Yeah, there's almost nothing from my experience. I mean, if I'm really being honest, there's almost nothing from my experience in art school that I still utilize. What I got out of it that was useful was probably some of the basics stuff in the foundations era. Your freshman year, they based it on the Bauhaus School of Art, so it was foundations year. You didn't get into your major until after that, so it was color theory, composition, perspective, figure drawing, some of the liberal arts stuff, art history, and all of that was certainly good. And about Free Prize Inside, love the concept. They don't buy a product, they buy the experience. Yeah. So finding a thing that a person will want to tell others about is a differentiator. Oh my gosh, yeah, if you can create word of mouth with what you're doing, that's worth everything. And they totally should have included a free prize with that book, like a bookmark even? What are they thinking? What a failure. What an opportunity they missed. Okay. Yeah, creating a feeling, creating an experience that people want to return to and tell people about. Especially if it's not a bad one. People love to talk about their bad experiences, right? All right. Clean brush. Let's get back into it here. How did I get a hair in there again? It's like cat hairs, I think. It could be a brush strand. I don't know. You ever heard the phrase that when you have a cat hair is like a condiment? It's just in everything. That's not the phrase, but you know, the idiom, whatever, the idea of that. It's definitely true in my studio. Cat hair in everything. And I have a cat that doesn't shed that much. There, you get a nice close-up of my brush handle, sorry. If I recall, when I was in art school, you could take a business minor through another school that they were like kind of associated with. It was, I went to school in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, and Marquette University was another school that was there. I'm going to use my arm to steady myself because I'm getting that, like my hands get a little shaky. And I don't have a Mars stick with me. I should make one. Yeah, so people from the Marquette School could take elective art classes at the art school, and then if you were in the art school, you could do other kind of minors through Marquette University. And I don't think I understood the value of what that would have been at the time. And you know, school's expensive as it is, so sometimes you're just like, oh, I just need to do what I'm doing now and get what I can out of that. Sure, this is, oh, not dry. Oh no, what'd I do? It's all fine. It's fine. It's fine. Ah! It's making it worse. See, if you buy a painting from me, bonus, you get some of my DNA. Gross, right? It's fine. Think got it. Just need to be careful. Danny, hello. Hello, hello. Good to see you. I'm still working. Let's see how much of the lettering I can get done. I got this whole side of this portrait filled in, and I'm kind of just right now going back and adding some embellishments on the letters. Keep making little mistakes, but it happens. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stand up. Sitting on my like studio chair, which gets me nice and tall, and one of the advantages is that it keeps me in the one spot for the camera, because if I'm on my feet, I'm probably gonna be wandering, but I think that I need to do that right now to be able to do a proper job of this. Regarding DNA, just so long as the painting isn't then used in some sacrificial manner, you should be good. Yeah, you know, and hopefully varnish will protect me from that. I'll have to check the container, see if it's see if the varnish is ritual proof. Which kind of reminds me, I was just yesterday talking to somebody who's like, I love horror movies. I watch a ridiculous amount of them. And there was somebody who was like, I don't understand the interest in them. Explain to me what it is. And it's really hard to like do that because it's not something I've been terribly conscious of. Why? And only kind of recently have started to be like, I wonder why. I wonder what it is. But I suspect it has something to do with like being a safe way to kind of explore things. Make sure the varnish has some holy water in it. Interesting. I could get behind that. Doing fine. Home taking care of the tasks that haven't gotten done, like editing a friend's photo. Editing's kind of fun in its own way. It's such a different mindset from the actual creation, and yet it is creation in and of itself too. But it just gets you into a different state of working, which can be kind of fun sometimes. All right. What's wet? What isn't? Okay. My problem is I get all over the place. I don't stay focused on the area I'm working on. This is the story of my life. All right. Like little linty hairs just keep getting on my brush. They might be cat hairs. I don't think they're the brush strands. They're too fine. I guess that's just living anywhere. Just like dust. Where does it come from? Who knows, but it's everywhere. I mean, yeah, we kind of know, but you know what you get what I'm saying. I'm really asking for trouble because I have my coffee next to my paint container and my water on the other side. Gotta roll with some chaos sometimes. This is not just not working the way I want it to. I do not have a steady hand, and little bit of a shake. Do I have something that I can use like a mall stick somewhere in the studio? Not without some fussing around. Here, I have a little, it's like a cell phone tripod that I think is meant to be like a selfie stick thing, but I just use it for helping me capture like video if I'm using my cell phone for a second camera or taking photos with a timer on it. We'll try that. Let's see how this goes. It's a little heavy, but I just put it here for a second maybe. Let's give it a try. Hey, look at that. Now you can barely see what I've done. Okay. Just adding like little detail line here and there. Very like a thinner. Why not? I'm just going at it. Trying to make things interesting. I think I really should make a proper mall stick for myself, because I can have a very, like, a shaky and unsteady hand sometimes. Just adds that extra little bit of stability, and it's like an easy enough thing to just make, like, out of stuff. Go to the hardware store, buy a dowel that's lightweight, and add like a rubber footer of some sort on it, or a ball of masking tape on the end. I've seen people use tennis balls. Whatever. It is definitely one of those things that would kind of like, you really don't need to purchase. Yeah, broomstick would. The only problem with a broomstick is I'd figure out a way to like hit myself in the face with the broom bristles. Yeah, I hate the shakiness, drives me crazy. Yeah, it's really... It can be very frustrating. And for me, there's an element of just like accepting the fact that my lines are never going to be super steady and straight. They're just never going to be that. And that's okay. Like, I just like work with it. Yeah. Don't try to force yourself into a box you don't fit into, right? And that belongs to every part of our lives. Art and otherwise. All right. Let's set that thing down because I was just holding on to it. Looks like I'm walking off the camera again. All right. The only other things besides like having something to steady yourself to avoid the shakiness, I think, I don't know, if you are, one thing that can make mine much worse is like low blood sugar, of course. So making sure that we've taken care of ourselves a bit, eaten well, decent amount of rest, just all the normal things we're supposed to do anyway, right? Which I think some artists can be very terrible at. I don't know that's like, and I don't mean like on purpose in like a tortured artist kind of way. I think it's just inherent into the kind of people we can be, where we get sucked into projects and forget to take care of ourselves. And I've often talked about how my cat, like, because he knows exactly when his feeding times are. He knows, right? It's amazing. So he'll come and yell at me to remind me it's lunchtime. And then it is also for me like, yes, I gotta go feed the cat and myself. It's a good reminder that way. I really do prefer to be standing when I'm painting. I think there's a lot of advantages to it. That's a janky looking sea, but I'm okay with it. having bought this little like ceramic cup thing at the art store was honestly kind of an impulse buy, because it was like, I don't know, $1.50 or something really cheap like that. And then after I bought it, I'm like, what am I gonna, like, how is this gonna be useful? And then the great irony is I actually have been using it all the time. Like, I've used it to put some ink into from like an inkwell that I can then use a brush to pick up. A little bit of like medium for oil painting. It's been shockingly useful. And this sort of thing, I mean, I'm certain you'd probably find resale shops, things that are similar to that. For probably even cheaper. If I'm in the right mood, a trip to the resale shop can be like just the best thing. There's quite a few near me, like very close to me. There's like a strip of big ones, like a mile down the road. A Goodwill next to a Salvation Army, next to a home Habitat for Humanity Restore. Just all the shops like right in a row next to each other. It's kind of great. But every now and then I'll pick up some things that I have the intention of like I don't know, you know, remixing, giving a new life to. And right now, oh, there, speak of the devil, there's Watson. Hi, baby. Yeah, I have a bin kind of full of some things like that I bought with the intention of like painting and doing something interesting too, and I just haven't done it, so I've kind of forcing myself to not buy anything else like that for until I actually utilize some of the things I already have. There's always that long list of all the things you want to do and you want to try and you want to play around with. And it's always hard to like actually find the time to do it all. That's the downside. So many ideas, so many things. Not enough time. Yeah, hungry already? He gets his lunch at noon, and it is 11:30 now, so he's thinking ahead. But he's mostly decided that it's quite boring to be in here with me if I'm doing the stream, so he doesn't really hang out with me in here much anymore. He'll just come in when he's, like, wants to remind me that, hey, don't forget, you gotta feed me pretty soon here. Right? Priorities, huh? Where? There. I gotta give him a spot where he can jump up on. You know, priorities. Come on, there he goes. Cat assistant. My studio assistant. Gets hair and everything. Hello. There he is. No, you can't quite see him. He's on the chair I was sitting in. If I move the camera, I'll probably knock it off, so I'm just gonna... You're just gonna have to trust me that he's here. Here. You wanna say hi to everybody? Oh, there he is. That's my boy. This is Watson. Yes, you're my baby. He's a very, very good boy. Right. He thinks so. Alright, you're very hot too, and it's warm in here. It was quite cool when I first came in here this morning, but with having the lights on... Cat hair. Having the lights on for recording does generate a decent amount of heat. And I even preemptively put on the fan thinking about that, but I turned it down to low and that might have been a mistake. That's okay. Might get a little sweaty, but it's all in the name of good art, right? All right. Coffee break. Clean that brush. I'm gonna switch to a different brush to just freshen things up a little bit. Keep going a little longer here. Where am I at? Oh. Let's see if I can pull this one off. This idea that I have for my next word. One thing that creates some texture that I'm working on is when I worked on the background, I used the palette knife quite a bit, which gives like some texture in the paint, like some edges and brush strokes that are dried into it, which catches when you're trying to do like some nice smooth-ish lines. Hi, love. I know. We're getting there. Not long now, baby. Not long. Just don't get in the paint is all. I had to double check and make sure that he couldn't quite get into the paint. Calls. Okay. I know. Oh my, did you want to get in there and help? Is that what you're saying? I don't think I can trust you to do any straighter lines than I do. Hmm? Like, just slip my paw in there. There, you're done. Now feed me. I know what they're thinking. I know what he's thinking. The fluid medium is really so important for doing this. Oh, you think purring is gonna help get you fed faster, do ya? What? Very cute. Gotta have a... You gotta have a studio pet, man. Definitely worth it. Oh my goodness. Hi. As what should be a surprise to nobody, I honestly have very, very terrible handwriting. The drama. So much drama. I think this almost certainly looks better at a distance than it does up close, but I'm not terribly unhappy with it so far. By the time all of the text is on here, I think it'll help bring it all together. Hi, baby cat. I know. I know, he's hungry. And bored. I think that's half the problem most of the time. Oh my goodness, I know. Goodness sake. He's so cute. Mine is chilling out in the window. Watson doesn't chill as much as... You know, just... I don't want him to be any different than he is, but he is a very, like, demanding and high-strung kitty. He's 2 years old and he still is, like, so much energy, but a lot of that has to do with the breed. Abyssinians, they want to know what you're doing all the time. They want to be involved. They don't like to be bored. They want you to be interacting with them. Ah. And I think he shows off sometimes too. Right? Am I talking about you? Yeah. Oh my, I know. We're getting close. It's almost lunchtime. Almost. I know you'd like to help me paint, but that's a no. I feel like the is needs to be heavier. to stand out as like really purposefully being different than the other letters. Here we go again. All right, where's my fake stick? Ugh. Help me out, fake stick. Stop putting my fingers in the wet paint. Oh, it's getting pretty close. Yeah, oh my god. Okay. Hold on. I got paint on myself and on my microphone. And that just might be a hazard of it being, oh my god. Guys. See what I'm doing to myself? Oh my, all right. Let me just have a moment here to try to pull myself together. And this might be just myself telling me that things are just gonna get worse if I keep going. Paint all over me. Paint on the lens too. Oh man. Okay. Yeah, that's mostly not coming off. Hold on. I'm gonna attempt to wipe some of this off the microphone. I'm gonna mute it for just a second. Yeah, that's not coming off. All right, I do think I'm going to take that as a sign from myself and the universe. My paint is starting to get a little thicker and not flow as nice and all the things, so... oh, I got a decent amount done, though. Painting on glass. Glass is fun, it's tricky. It's been a really long time since I've done that because it's like you have to paint the details first if you're doing it from the back. But yeah, that could be really neat. Like have the camera on one side of it and I'm just slowly filling it in from the other side. That could be a fun thing to do. Alright, now that I've officially covered myself in my studio with paint, because no spatial awareness, as I've discussed, I think it's a great time to wrap it up and clean up my mess and pick up and finish this text later. I don't know if that'll be Monday or if that'll be a different painting. We'll see like how much time I'm spending in my studio working on, and oh gosh, I have so many things to work on. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know exactly what I'll work on Monday on the next I know, on my next stream Monday evening, 7 p.m. Central. But I hope you guys can join me again, and thank you so much for joining me today and hanging out while I paint and ramble and make messes. Yeah, I'll see you guys on Monday. Have an amazing weekend. I hope you have all the creative inspiration in the world and have a good days. Yes, sentences make sense. Anyway. Yeah, cats, the Abyssinians are very in your face, as you can tell here. All right, bye guys, thanks so much, and I hope I'll see you next week, Monday, 7 p.m. Central. Bye.